that is extremely remote. But because of the appeal of the enormous amount we could gain, we tend to view as more likely and more favorable the actual winning of that lottery. In fact, research has shown that in Canada, for example, the national lottery here, the 649, a disturbing number, about 25% of Canadians have as their stated retirement plan winning the 649 lottery, where winning the 649 lottery has about a 1 in 30 million chance of actually occurring. So it's incredibly remote likelihood, but at the same time, people place a fairly high degree of likelihood in it actually occurring, particularly if they actually buy a lottery ticket on a weekly basis. At the same time, we're actually acutely sensitive to very high percentages. So once we get into the 90, 95, 96, 97%, there's a drive towards perfection that places a great deal of emphasis on how much more can we do to be able to get to perfect, how much more can we do to get to 100%. And this, again, has a lot of policy implications. When we think about environmental remediation, for example, it is relatively cost-effective in an environmental remediation project to be able to eliminate 80, 85, 90% of the toxins. It is incredibly expensive to be able to go after the last 10%. And yet there is a tendency and a bias and want to be absolutely 100% clean, as opposed to accept the 90% for 20% of the cost, relative to 100% for the extra 80% of the cost. In the middle ground, we tend to actually be fairly bad at distinguishing probability. And in fact, about 20 to 80% probability gets viewed as being an amorphous gray that we distinguish as very little difference to a 50-50% chance.